I have started using the easiest Excel spreadsheet for our monthly family budget plan. And every month, just before the month begins, we go over our real family budget plan with our real numbers for the entire month. And this month is gonna be weird. Ooh, doggy, I am so glad April is behind us, although I am still homeschooling and working and doing my side business. So nothing's really changed since April. I could have sworn back in January that I didn't have a single free second to do anything else in my schedule, yet somehow I managed to add in educating my child 5 days a week. I think it's because I have given up showering and making myself presentable every single day. I'm just over here stewing in my own filth. The good news is that in addition to reading, writing, and arithmetic, and of course Spanish, Melina also has a short class on money where she is currently learning not only how to divide her income into thirds, 1/3 to save, 1/3 to give, and 1/3 to spend, but we actually also just had a class on the value of a dollar. Why, you ask? Because I knew it was time that we needed to have the value of a dollar class when she told me that replacing something she had destroyed was only going to cost $100. We have a lot of learning to do here. So clearly I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Wendy Valencia. My husband Mauricio and I have been budgeting monthly for well over a decade, We have tried everything, pen and paper, apps on the computer, apps on our phone. By far, my favorite budgeting method is Excel. And I'll admit that I actually change my spreadsheets pretty frequently because I like variety and change, otherwise I get bored. And the spreadsheet I'm using now, I love. It is by far the easiest and most flexible of all the budgeting methods I've ever used. And I'll put a link down in the description box for that template. So I basically created this method because legitimately I got tired of moving money around every month. So now we have just two simple categories. We have the fixed expenses and the flexible expenses. And the fixed expenses are those expenses that I know they're going to be their amount every month, no matter what. It's a known amount. Maybe it's a bill or it's something that we pay monthly, like our cell phone bill or a medical expense that I have waiting from last month. And in the beginning, I thought of the flexible expenses as the ones that I didn't know how much they were going to be. But I actually quickly discovered that I really just needed my flexible expenses to be the areas that we typically overspend. So like food, especially eating out, surprise medical appointments, clothing, and the ever poorly managed miscellaneous category where random stuff I decide to buy goes. So what falls into my miscellaneous category? Books for Melina to read because the library's closed. Right now, I seem to have a lot of Rona supplies in the miscellaneous categories, like disposable gloves and washable face masks, which are now a requirement at my work, and we have to provide our own. We actually are pretty well stocked in everything Rona at this point. Really, the only thing I'm hoping to buy is maybe like a bottle of bleach or some Lysol spray or Clorox wipes when those become available again. So let's get into my spreadsheet. Our total income this month is $11,455.40, and that only includes what makes it to our bank account. So it doesn't include our savings and our retirement that is taken out before it gets to our paycheck. So let's start with the fixed expenses. In the utilities category, we have a whopping $446.99, and that includes our ever famous storage unit, which we have for $270 a month because, yeah, we just do. We have a cell phone bill of $170 a month and a Skype bill of $6.99. And note, this percentage over here isn't accurate because it's not the entire spending plan. That will be accurate at the end of the month. It's just what we have for fixed expenses planned right now. In the kids category, we have 0 this month. Normally, this is a very, very expensive category for us, around $1,500 to $2,000 every single month. But right now, there are no activities and no school, so we're good. Some of our other expenses are going up, but we'll talk about those in a minute. In our giving category, we have $500, and that varies from month to month. It can be anything from $500 to $2,000, depending on how givey we feel. But right now, we're keeping it on the lower side to meet our financial goals. In our insurance category, we have a total of $312.47, and that's $35.81 for Mauricio's life insurance, $173.01 for car and renters insurance, $91.65 for my life insurance, and $12 for CMFG life insurance. In the transportation category, we have $290. And in this category, we put anything related to the car. And this is $90 for Mauricio's parking permit at the office because we are still working, so he does still have to pay for parking. And except we keep getting exposed to the virus at the office, so we keep going in and out of 14-day quarantine. But thus far, we're healthy. And then we decided to go ahead and add $200 to this category for gas, although we are coming nowhere near close to that. It's just a little extra cushion. And we decided to put gas in here because gas is gas and it's not a category I typically overspend in. So we decided to move it to the fixed expenses. So we would have at least something in the plan for that. In the medical category, we have nothing scheduled because everybody's appointments have been canceled. In the savings category, we have $1,000, but this isn't our actual savings or our investments. Those actually come out prior to depositing our paychecks into the bank. So those are transferred directly out of our paycheck. Normally, our savings comes right off the top of our paychecks and doesn't ever even make it to our checking account. That way, our money is in like accounts that I don't really check. So that money, that's the way I've always done my savings, and it works really well for us because we kind of forget it's there. So this savings is like for upcoming things like Christmas and summer camp, if there is going to be summer camp, travel, if we're going to be able to travel, big medical expenses, all those saving funds that we have. And this month we're going to have additional savings, but I'm going to get into that in a second. So in our spending money, we have $0. Normally Mauricio and I each get $100 a month to spend willy-nilly, but that's usually for lunches out with coworkers, and we're not even doing that right now. So we're not even going to put that in there. In our subscriptions, we have $96.79, and that's $9.99 for Google Storage, $14.95 for Audible, $14.99 for Amazon Music, $9.99 for iCloud, $4.99 for Roblox, because Melina gets Robux every month, $4.99 for Circle Go, $9.99 for Apple Music, $12.99 for Netflix, and we have a new one this month, and that's $14 a month for Shit, because I didn't want to commit to a year, which is actually cheaper, but I only want to do this for during the Rona phase because they actually shop at stores that I don't normally shop at. But it seems to be a lot easier to get a Shipt block than an Instacart block right now. And then we have a whole new category here, which is laundry, and that is an overwhelming $500. So basically what happened is at the very end of our quarantine, when Mauricio and I had both been separated from any possible exposure, we decided to split the house into, so we actually hung up like plastic sheeting, and my parents have taken the downstairs where the laundry room is. We created a small kitchenette down there with, you know, the necessities like a microwave and a coffee pot and all of those things. They have a full refrigerator down there. And then we have the upstairs. So we can't go down there because laundry was legitimately my biggest concern, because we would be putting potentially dirty clothes into the machine and we could clean the machine every time. But we felt like it was safer not to be sharing any spaces at all. So we found rinse.com, and it's pricey for a family of 3. Thus far, they have done a fantastic job. They are very punctual and really have done, I've been really impressed very very impressed so far. I sent in one of Melina's throw rugs, and she had gotten slime all over it, and I told them what it was, and they were able to get it out, which, oh my goodness, I was like in awe. So we pay for 4 bags a month at $200, which is the most that they offer. And so we pay an additional $50 per bag, and a bag is huge. So we do go through a lot of laundry as a family, and we're averaging about 8 bags a month, so a total of about $400, and then that's for their wash and fold service. We do have a few additional items that are hang dry. So Mauricio has a few polos that we've never put in the dryer because we're afraid they'll shrink, and my undergarments get hung dry. And they also offer dry cleaning, but obviously we're not using that right now because we're wearing jeans to work. We also have Mauricio's work shirts pressed, so that's for a slightly extra fee, and they do a fantastic job of that. And then, of course, there are tips involved because they come and pick it up and drop it off. And while this seems like it would be a luxury, in normal times it would be, but right now it seems like the safest option because we don't really want to be going to a laundromat for 6 hours every month to do our laundry. Have you had to add a weird category to your spending plan because of all this? I'd love to hear any weird categories that you're adding down there. So, and while you're telling me about those, make sure you click the like button and subscribe to this channel because I do this every month. And in the debt category, this is where we're changing it up to suit the times. We have $1,500 scheduled for our debt payments. Our minimum payment to debt is $1,047, but our self-imposed minimum has been lowered down to $1,500 from the usual $5,000. So I'll talk about what I'm going to do with the leftover money in a second. Mauricio's tuition is $1,300 for this month, but that's up in the air since he started having to do online in March. We don't know. They went to a pass-fail system in March, so I don't even know if they're going to offer classes in May. We also have added a savings category, and that is $3,489.15. Unless Mauricio's school registration is canceled, then it would actually be $1,300 higher. We won't be getting a stimulus check. Unfortunately, we do make too much money to even get close to getting a stimulus check. And so we are going to put this money in our emergency savings. And basically, we're going to be hoarding money until this is all over. So with regards to savings, we've always had well over $1,000 because I always thought $1,000 was ridiculous. And we have always been one full month ahead, but I just don't feel like it's enough anymore. We may never have to deal with a pandemic again, but what if one of us loses our job for some reason, or God forbid, one of us dies? So this was a good heads up, and I'm going to learn from it. So we're going to stockpile that extra money in our Capital One 360 account for now. Down the road, in maybe a month or two, maybe 3 months, whenever this is all over, we're gonna keep probably only 1 month of emergency fund in our Capital One 360 account, and the rest of it will be in a fairly easily accessible investment that's not too volatile, but earns more money than just your traditional savings account. I actually can't imagine a situation where I would need more than 1 month of income immediately with no warning. So I think having one that I can access like that day, and then, a bunch of other months that might take me 2 or 3 days to get to. I think that's the best way to go for us. Moving on to the flexible category, I know that I have $2,000 to spend on everything else. So that includes like food and clothes, although I shouldn't be buying anything clothes related, but I did buy new pajamas last month. So It's going to happen. And then, of course, the ever poorly managed miscellaneous category. And this is like the usually random stuff I buy on Amazon or online, Etsy, whatever. So I've set the groceries kind of high normally. Normally, our flexible category would be about $1,200, but I have put in a lot of extra money for groceries because groceries are so insanely expensive right now. Plus all the random stuff that is coming up that I don't expect, like, face masks and gloves and those things. I'm hoping there are going to be no more expenses like that, but you never know with this thing. And this is a no guilt category. If I want to buy $2,000 worth of clothes and no groceries that month, I can. That obviously is never going to happen, but it could because this is a guilt-free category. So as I spend my money, every day, every other day is more like it. It's not once a week, it's every other day, because if I go too long, I forget what I spent my money on. So I log it right over here and I keep track of the totals because honestly, tracking is 99% of successful budgeting. And I learned after years and years and years of budgeting and having no success because I wasn't tracking exactly how much I was spending. So if you like this super simple system, my template is available on my website and I'll link that down in the description box, and I'll see you in the next one.